Hello, and welcome to This Old Boat. I'm Garrett with Lippert, and for our first episode, we're going to refit a pontoon boat from trash to treasure in just 5 days. For 30 years, this family has loved going out on this boat. They've obviously used it well. The sun and the time have done some work on it. We're gonna refresh the whole boat and make it like new. Hopefully they can get another 30 years out of it. Oh man, you can tell this has been recovered before. This is factory though, so for 30 years this has taken the sun. There's obviously been some work done. The wood bases are all rotted out. The hinges have all gotten loose. They've had to add supports over the years. I'm sure this boat has many stories. Dash, well, she's plastic, it's a little old. We'll be keeping the shifter, the steering, the gauges. We'll put this all over into our new helm. Probably not the cassette player. I'm not sure if we have any cassettes around to play. This boat was built in 1996, and you can tell by the color of the furniture and by the amount of wear on it, right? So we've decided that we're going to keep the rails and keep the original layout of the boat. So the next step before demo would be to take measurements of the current layout so that we can put it into the pontoon configurator and decide what seats we need to buy. So we've taken our measurements and we've made our plan. Now the fun part, demo. We're gonna take the boat apart in essentially the opposite way that it was put together. We're gonna take the rails off, the furniture off, the helm, then the whole deck itself. There we go. So we've elected to keep the original layout of the boat, and so we're gonna save the rails. We're just gonna reskin them. So I'm being a little bit careful with those. The extruded aluminum's all in great shape, and we'll put this new metal in as a new skin. It's gonna look brand new. This is an example of a previous owner thing you'd find. I can understand why buying aquarium sealant would maybe make sense on a boat. A project like this can seem daunting. My recommendation would be to stick to the steps. So when we're doing demo, we're demoing the boat and sticking to that. We got to a part where they got a little confusing for me, which is removing the steering cable. And I simply typed in the model number on Google and looked for installation instructions, and I'm reading them now. So don't be afraid to read the instructions. We did it. We got it all off the boat. In most cases, you're ready to start putting your new furniture down now. We have just elected to fix some of the rotten boards and put new decking down first. Cool one here. So this is a thing that we have going on in the Midwest. This is not a stainless screw. If this had been anywhere near salt water, it would have fell apart in like 2 weeks. But because we have such clean, fresh water, it miraculously made it for years. So we've gotten the whole deck off the boat now. So now you can see where the wiring is from the helm, shifter cables. But this is essentially what makes pontoon boats so restorable, is that this aluminum, it could have gone through anything. And as long as it's straight and true, You see a little bit of corrosion maybe, but it's gonna last another 100 years, this part of the pontoon boat. And now we're just gonna go through and I recommend taking a chisel that you don't like and a hammer, and we're gonna get the big stuff off it. And then after getting the big stuff off, then I'll use a heat gun and like a putty knife and try to get some of this adhesive off. And I just want these to be as flat and clean as they can be, because they're actually where the joints of the plywood will be. All right, so now we've used chisels, heat guns, scraper, whatever we had to use to get all the big stuff off here, the chips, the chunks of wood, the rest of the loose bolts. There's some adhesive on there, but that's fine. So on top of this, we're gonna use this double-sided foam tape. So this just helps have an even connection point. It also helps us not trap water between the aluminum and the wood. And then on about every 4 of these, we're actually gonna have a seam where one piece of plywood's here and one piece of plywood's here. And this is the waterproofing that prevents water from getting into the seam. We finished screwing down all the decking. We're just sweeping and preparing to put the new vinyl marine flooring on this old boat. So in gluing down the vinyl flooring, the first step we're gonna take, we call it pre-filling, and we're gonna fill these cracks with the same glue we use for the rest of it. We'll just fill the cracks, then we'll put the glue down for everything. And that hopefully fills in the cracks with glue, protecting the edges of the plywood from water. So this crack, we just had to inch it over a little to keep the boat square. This is a good reason of why we pre-fill. Just taking the brush, using that to get it in there. Seems real messy. It's kind of like grout and tile. Just trying to get it on there. And we don't have to worry about making it any neater than that, because the next thing we're gonna do is dump this bucket out and roll with the roller. This is just getting it in the crack. All right, so now we've put new deck boards on the boat. We've now rolled out 3 gallons of glue as per manufacturer's instructions, just rolled it out with a roller, and we're gonna glue down our new woven vinyl waterproof flooring. All right, so just about a 1/2 inch over. So now that we have new vinyl down, now I'm gonna do things like be careful and take my shoes off when I get up there. So I'm not putting glue and dirt into the new vinyl, but I'm gonna get up there with my socks on and just continue to push bubbles out. The premium vinyl is not only nice because it's foam, the foam makes it so you can't feel the seams, but it also made it lay down really smooth and nice. Well, today we removed the rails, we removed all the seats, we stripped off the old plywood deck, we put new plywood deck on, we put our new vinyl woven flooring on, we put our trim back on that we retained from before, and I would call that a good day 1. Well, it's officially day 2, and we're re-skinning the rails for the pontoon boat. We've elected to use the factory rails and just put new metal in it. If you want to know more information about how to do that, there's a bunch of videos online about how to reskin. It's a great way to make it look like a new boat and keep your factory configuration and factory rails. At this point, we've finished reskinning our rails. Our rails are all ready to go back on, and we've begun assembling our furniture, as you can see over there. Now we're gonna do the fun part of dry fitting everything, where we hold our rails up and get our furniture going. We're gonna be able to move things around a little bit before we just screw them down into their final place. All right, so we're gonna start with our biggest piece. This is the front starboard quarter. It also includes the door. We're gonna pick it up and put it up on the boat. We're not gonna screw anything down until we know for sure it's in the right spot. Let me set that there. All right, now it goes back. There's the holes that line up. That's how the original configuration was right there. Oh man, it's already starting to come together there. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the old screw holes to see what lines up to remind us what position things go in. Yep, so these holes are gonna line up and these holes are gonna line up. And this gives ample room for the engine and for exhaust and ventilation. And then the sun pad goes on top of here. So we've put the last piece up. This is essentially our final layout with our new rails. And next we'll just make sure we use the proper fasteners and screw them into place. So we have the rails firmly attached to the boat. Now we're gonna attach the doors. This is another very common thing on pontoon boats is rivets. They are really good when you can't get to the back side of the fastener. So we'd removed this door before, and now we're gonna do the rivets to put it back on. It's already pre-drilled. We make sure that the rivet can fit in the hole, fit in all of our holes. Perfect. I like to do the top middle one first so it can all hinge on that. Get it in like so. Then you take your rivet gun, you slide it all the way. Oh, it's got an old rivet in it. There we go, got the old rivet out. You slide it all the way in, and now you use that as your pressure. You're gonna open it, and then it's kind of a ratcheting, and it breaks it off for you. Get the old rivet out of there. And then I'm gonna do one on the middle one on the bottom also. These are the hardest too because the weight of the door. Okay. All right. And we haven't installed the door support yet. That will prevent this from happening. But now we can test our fitment, and we've got a door. now that we've finished putting down a new deck, putting down our new marine vinyl decking, reskinning and putting the rails back on the boat, follow along for the next part of the project where we put new seats and a new helm in this pontoon boat.